Do you get knee pain whenever you run? It's probably because you're over-recruiting your quads, or the muscles at the front of your thighs that attach into your knee, and not utilizing your feet, your calf, your hamstrings, your glutes, or the group of muscles that are collectively known as your posterior chain muscles to push you or propel you forward. So if you stay tuned for this video, we'll show you how to release off those tight quads, which will decrease your knee pain, and start to get your posterior chain muscles working so that you can run further and faster. The first thing we want to do is get a foam roller into our quads. So the quads are a muscle at the front of your legs that run from the top of your knee up through to the front of your hip. And so basically all we want to do is we want to roll up and down the length of that muscle, or the entirety of the muscle. And I just start off with like 3 to 5 sweeps. And here we're really just like getting a bit of blood flow in. We're starting to massage the muscle and contract and relax it a little bit. And then we're also doing a little scan to see if we get any tight or sore spots. As we're rolling through the quad, we want to make sure that we're on one leg so that we can bias one leg. And that way we can get a little bit more tension into that leg, and also we can start to scan and see if one side is tighter than the other. After we've rolled forwards and back 3 to 5 times, or we've gotten a good scan of what's going on through the knee, we want to just do some pressure, so pin and stretch techniques. So we're just going to pause on any tight or sore spots we found before, and then we're going to add in a little like knee bend, or bring the heel, kick the heel up towards the bum. So like we said before, this is going to pin any of those tight little spots. And then we're going to add a little bit of extra movement to teach the brain that it's safe for those areas to contract and relax again. And we're going to do 3 to 5 sweeps on any of those tight or sore spots that we found in the previous rolling up and down. And we want to spend about a minute or 2 on each leg, nothing much more than that. The next area we want to get is the front of our shins. And so this is another area that will get overused if you run using your quads or a knee dominant running pattern. So again, we're going to go on one leg. We're just going to lift the other leg up and we're going to pop it behind, and we're going to roll forwards and back 3 to 5 times. So the nice thing about this is you can use your hands to regulate how much pressure you're putting into the foam roller. So if you want a little bit more, you'll use your hands a little bit less, sit back onto the foam roller. If you are a little bit tight, you can push through the hands a little bit more and keep the knee a little bit more open in order to release that tibialis anterior, or the muscle at the front of your shin. So after we've done our sweeps forwards and back, then like with quads, we're just going to find any we're going to use pin and stretch technique to find any tight spots and start to mobilize them. So from here, we're just going to wiggle the ankle forwards and back, do a couple sweeps. We'll move down a little bit further, a couple more sweeps, then we can roll around a little bit. Again, spending 1 to 2 minutes on each side, seeing if there's any difference or any difference in pain or range of motion from side to side. After we've gotten some blood flow and some extra movement into the fronts of the legs, we then want to start to stretch those tissues out. So you can do so with a simple quad stretch, where standing is like a nice easy one. If you don't want to get on the floor, or if you're about to go running and you don't want to get everything dirty or muddy. Some people, this might be limited with their range of motion and they won't be able to grab their knee. So then you can take that into a kneeling position. So a nice one to do would be, like figure 4. So if you're really tight, you can just go into sort of a knee 90-90 position. Then from there, we're keeping the ribs tucked and we're just leaning forwards. That's a nice way that you can start to feel that stretch through the front of the thigh on the down leg. If you want to make it a little bit more challenging, you can go into that similar position where you're tucking the back leg up and leaning into it again, just to feel a burn or a little bit of a stretch. With all your stretching, you want it to be like a 3 or 4 out of 10. You don't want it to be so painful that you're going red in the face or that you're holding your breath. And you also want to make sure that you're feeling it in the right areas, that you're not just letting it go and actually feeling it in your lower back with these exercises or these stretches. If the standing quad stretch was a little bit too much for you, or you can't get your foot up, or the balance is a little bit off, then what you can do is you can just do a kneeling variation of that stretch. So we're gonna go front knee 90, hip 90. Then from there, we're gonna keep the ribs tucked just to make sure we're not flaring through the ribs, and we're just gonna lean forwards so that we feel a nice little stretch down through the front of the quad. And so whenever we do any of this stretching, we really want to feel like a 3 or 4 out of 10, where it feels like we're getting a little bit of a stretch, but we don't feel so much of a burn that we're causing pain or damaging, or like it's too intense, because that intensity will actually get us to tighten up our muscles. If you want to take that kneeling stretch a little bit further, then you can pick up the leg onto the back. And again, from here, we're just going to reach behind and pick up the foot, and then again, leaning forwards so that we feel a stretch through the front of our quads. So from here, we can reach behind so that we're grabbing the back foot, and then we can lean forwards just so that we're feeling a nice little stretch through the front of the quads. We don't want to be feeling it in our lower back, and we don't want to be feeling it sort of up in the hip. We want to be feeling it right in the middle of that muscle belt. After we've gotten the tissues nice and relaxed and started to stretch out the front of the quads, now it's time to get the posterior chain or the back muscles of the leg working. So a really nice way to start to get this going is with a glute bridge with a hip flexor lock or a psoas lock. And so it'll look like feet roughly hip hand width apart. From there, bring one knee up. We're just going to push the hands into the knee as hard as we can so we feel that core engage. And then from there, we're going to drive the feet up, down, up, down, up, down. And so with this one, we want to be doing a couple sets of 10, just so that we start to feel the bum engage. We want to start to feel that hamstring engage. And obviously we're going to go through and do them on both sides. Again, seeing if one side's tighter than another, or if one side feels weaker than the other. Finally, we want to start to get the feet and ankle working a little bit better, because that's where a lot of our springiness when we run should come from. And so a nice way to do this is with pogo hops or straight knee hops. And so by keeping the knees nice and straight, it means we have to use the feet and the calves or Achilles complex to generate that motion. A nice way to start off is with double leg hops. So here you can see we're keeping that knee nice and straight, and all that bounce or springiness is coming from the ankle and not through the knee. So there are a couple of, or that is how we would look at treating someone who comes into clinic who is complaining of knee pain when they run. So first we're going to be releasing off the tight structures at the front of the legs in the quads and the tibialis anterior. Then we're going to be doing some exercises to start to wake up the posterior chain muscles like the glutes and the hamstrings. And finally, we're teaching the feet and ankles to work as they should and distribute most of that force while you're starting to run, which means you'll be much more efficient with your running and you'll be able to run faster and longer. If you found this helpful, please like and hit subscribe so that you can keep up to date with all our latest videos. If you are suffering from knee pain or any other pain, please check out our website. We have a heap of information to help you get back to doing the things that you love doing.